Hello, so today I decided to make a video to talk about my experience with back pain and how I was able to solve my back pain, which I had had for about 7 years. So about 7 years ago I had this ice skating accident where I fell really hard on my butt at the time, and shortly thereafter whenever I was sitting in a chair, my butt muscle would really start to hurt. And for example, if I would sit for an hour or so, it just in my left butt area, it would really start to hurt, and I would have to get up and walk around, and it just became sort of unbearable. And this sort of got worse and worse over the years, to the point where I would avoid sitting for basically any amount of time. So to do work, for example, I would end up lying on the bed with the pillows propped up against my neck, and I would also sort of avoid driving, because that would require me to sit, and sometimes you get stuck in traffic, and it would just be very painful on my butt and my back area. And so about it was earlier this year, so the pain started 7 years ago and it kept progressively getting worse, and I had been to all sorts of chiropractors, doctors, all kinds of specialties, acupuncture, massage therapist, physical therapist, and none of them really worked. And so I sort of learned to live with it for 7 years. Now, as I was saying earlier this year, though, it got to the point where it just got really bad, because I was living in an area where it was very humid and it was also very cold. And every time it would start raining, I would just feel like there was something twisting my spine, like the vertebra in my spine, and it just became very unbearable. And I basically was thinking of quitting my job and selling my house to perhaps go get surgery on it. And at that point, the problem was that I really didn't even know if surgery would really help anything, because of all the doctors that I had seen, all the specialists that I had been to, nobody had really pinpointed, I feel, nobody really had a strong grasp of exactly what was wrong with the pain. We did x-rays, we did MRIs, and basically they just showed that, yeah, there was some kind of a herniated disc that they thought, but the problem was that, my pain was not just that herniated disc area, it was more of in the butt area. And the other thing is that when I first had the accident about 7 years ago, at that time there was actually no herniated disc issue, because once I had the butt pain issue 7 years ago, I immediately went to see a doctor, and they took the MRI, and at that point there was no issue with my discs. And so 7 years later, now there's an issue with the discs, but the pain from the butt has just been there all along. And so I really suspected whether the doctors who looked at the MRIs, really had pinpointed the real source of my problem. So to get to sort of the juicy part of the story, earlier this year, as the pain got really unbearable, I went online and started searching for all kinds of different resources to see if to really try to figure this thing out. And I basically made it almost like a full-time job to research and to study, and I was also doing yoga exercises every day, basically anything that I thought would help with the back pain. So as I was surfing the internet, I came across this book, and the book's title was Healing Back Pain by Dr. John Sarno. And I don't want to give away the whole contents of the book, because I think it's a really good book and you should go buy it if you haven't heard of this. And but basically, I can say that that book saved my life, literally. Within 1 week of reading that book, my back pain was 50% gone. And within 2 weeks, it was 70% gone. And after 3 weeks, 95%, recovery from the back pain. And it's basically a miracle. That's all I can say. To go into a little bit of what the book talks about is that basically it was sort of it's a psychological process where the pain in my back arose from it was my way of dealing with certain stressful issues in my life. And all along I had thought that it was the skating injury that happened 7 years ago. But when I thought about it again, I actually realized that around that time, it was also the time that I was taking a certain exam. I was preparing to take a very important exam. And it was right when I was sitting in the library studying for that exam when this whole episode started, and didn't go away for the next 7 years. And after reading Dr. Sarno's book, I realized, okay, this is, he clearly has a very good point about how your psychological state can really affect certain things that happen in your body. For example, he cites butt pain actually as one of the most common areas of pain that are caused by this sort of psychological process. Another area is lower back and upper, like shoulder area. Basically, these were all sort of very common symptoms of a person's reaction to stress. So, I won't say too much about exactly, what he talks about in the book, because I think it's a really good read, and you should really, get a copy if you haven't done so. And by the way, I'm not getting paid to advertise his book or anything like that. I just thought it would be helpful to other people who might be suffering from back pain to hear about my story. And so, that's all I have to say for now. If you have any comments or any questions, feel free to leave them on this page, and I wish you best of luck.